Hey guys, your Bear Boy host Hito here yet again for another awesome podcast of the Retrogade, here to drop the Retro Bomb. Yes, we call it the Retro Bomb because you know what? We're gonna explode your mind with all the good stuff of the past. And now joining me today, if I can just undeafen myself like a crazy person, we have our first guest. Our first guest over here is A-Lig. Boom. What's up, A-Lig?
Yo, what's going on? What's going on, y'all?
Alright, so A-Lig, introduce yourself to the peeps.
Let's see. I'm A-Lig. As people who know me know, I play a lot of games. Like, my Steam library is now at 1,040, I want to say. I play pretty much everything. I love side-scroller beat-em-ups. They are kind of my jam. So I love the obscure ones that we will be getting into here soon enough.
All right. And then finally, we have Shell Shock Prime. Let me just get this camera working. Boom. There you go. Hey, Shell.
Hey, what's up? I'm Shell Shock Prime, and I usually like to stream a lot of Nintendo, Retro, Mega Man, and a whole lot more. That's what I'm really into, and that's practically like the type of content that I usually do on Twitch. But the main bread and butter is me clearing out my backlog one game at a time.
All right. So we're going to shout out A-Lig. Boom, because why not? See if A-Lig got a clip.
I do not. I have that I know of. I don't. I might, but I doubt it.
Hey, well, check out A-Lig.
I stream like once a year tops. I got nothing to pimp.
Listen, once in a year is still a stream, okay? We got this.
Yeah.
Okay, and then we're also going to shout out our friend Shell Shock Prime.
Let's see which one this is.
Oh, Kami!
Yep. That was from like early 2020.
Jeez,
before everything.
I actually started that game for like a nature thing, but I actually want to go full dive into it at some point.
So it's a great game.
It's a really good game. All right,
Yeah.
So guys, we're gonna go into nitty gritty. So, in your definition, what is a beat 'em up game for you?
I'm very loose with the idea of a side-scroller beat 'em up because I consider some things that aren't maybe necessarily a beat 'em up to still count. So that, and I've played a lot of them, and I mean a lot of them. So there's some that I will probably bring up that aren't necessarily on the list, so to say. But for me, it's very much the idea of, your general health bar, you've got some items to whack guys with, but primarily you're running on a 2.5D plane, left, right, enemies of varying colors for their various levels, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Anything to add to it, Shell?
Well, that and also the fact that, like, for me, my definition of beat 'em ups are just you going around, whether if it's like in like left to right, right to left, or like if in some cases in 3D going around like just beating people up all over the place. So many different people coming in that just want to beat you up because you put in a quarter and they want to eat your quarter. To me, beat 'em ups are just a lot of fun.
Yeah, I definitely enjoy beat 'em ups. For my definition, I usually just say the game that basically says, "Hey, we're stealing your life because I ran out of lives."
Yeah,
Just it's always the case. Like you always get into it. It always happens. You kind of don't expect it. You die, and they're like, "Do you mind Do you mind, good sir, madam, or person in between, just spare me a crumb of a life, please? Thank you." One crumb. That's all I ask.
Yes.
But all in all together, I do enjoy beat 'em ups. This is where the whole thing goes in. Actually, one of my first few games was a beat 'em up. When I was a kiddo and I had my first SNES machine. So that was a thing. And now I ask the question, what was your first beat 'em up? If you can remember.
Probably Double Dragon.
Okay.
I remember playing Double Dragon in the arcade quite a bit, and that game was a blast, even though it was one of those, like, look, I'm going to mercilessly eat your quarters. Just forget about it. I'm going to take you to Pound Town.
Yes.
Listen, kid, your allowance is going to be gone by the end of this day.
Yup, you're not seeing stage 4. Forget about it.
Oh yeah. Like, for me, I was like, my very first arcade game was actually beat 'em up. I was like 3 years old, and that game is like synonymous with, well, at least that series is synonymous with me. The original arcade Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It was at a local deli near me. It was a little local bodega, deli, whatever you want to call it. I went in with my dad, like, because he wanted to go and buy something. I don't remember what it was. And then he gave me a quarter. I played it, died in the first level, and that was the end of it. My dad was like, okay, it's time to go home.
And you just did not want to go. You held onto that machine with your life. I can feel it. You were like,
Pretty much.
Demonic hissing and everything. Just, you don't want to leave. This is mine.
Yeah.
Father, distract them. I'm taking the machine home with me.
Right? Right?
If only it were that simple. Because, like, that was the first one. And there were so many. Like, I remember my cousin, sometime at, like, the end of 1990, I think it might have been New Year's Eve, he came over, and he brought the NES version of the game. And it was great. It was great. I was, like, 4 years old, and I just couldn't get enough.
Did you throw a quarter at the NES machine thinking that you still needed to pay for quarters? Just
no, it's just the fact that but it's like I barely got a chance to play it because my cousin was just like all over. He was just showing us the game, but I barely got a chance to play it though because I was too small, and my cousin was much older than me. He was like over 6 years older than me. So yeah.
Jeez. Like, you ain't touching that machine, I'm touching that machine.
Yeah, it was crazy because, like, because he was really good at video games. So, of course, he would come over, show us a game, and then get to see it, and that's practically it.
How many of you got the crappy controller if you have a brother or sister?
No, we both had good controllers.
I gave out the crappy controller. I was the oldest. I'm like, no. You get that one. I get this one. Oh, yeah. Maybe we'll get that one to you later on, but for now, you play with the weird controller.
Oh my god.
Yep.
So, here's the thing. I had weird controllers throughout most of my childhood, because my mom was like, listen, I know video games, which she did back then, you know, Atari and all that jazz. However, she didn't know that there was such a thing as crappy controllers. She gave me the weirdest version of the GameCube controller I will never forget, but it had turbo, so you know it saved me a ton of time when it came to those button mashing techniques that I did not develop in the future, which I would have needed for Mario Party to catch up with these guys. God damn. My first beat 'em up was Final Fight, funny enough.
That's a great game.
This goes back this goes back to that story of like my cousin who had outgrown the toy that was the Super Nintendo, which, by the way, remember, video games were marketed as toys and nothing else at that time. He was like, okay, I'm done with this toy. Here's a whole box, a whole Reebok box full of SNES games. And that was it. That's where it came from. It was just, yep, this is how it is. Oh. Raiding party. We just got a raid from Owl. Owl, thank you so much for the raid and trusting your lovely community in here. Thank you.
But now, here I am. I have JoJo posters everywhere. I have multiple JoJo shirts. I'm working on learning one of the JoJo opening themes because I'm bored.
You got lots of JoJo going on in that.
You did not see me.
It seems that you like JoJo. But welcome on in, Raiders. We're hosting our weekly podcast, The Retrogade. Today's subject, side-scroller beat-em-ups, with our two guests, A-Lig and Shellshock Prime.
Hello.
But yes, my very first beat-em-up was indeed Final Fight, because my cousin had a Reebok box full of games. So I was introduced to Super Mario World, Pilot Wings, Street Fighter, Final Fight, Mortal Kombat, lots of sports games that I did not want to touch. He had the Michael Jordan game, which I think I still have the Michael Jordan game, which was essentially just, it was Shaq Fu, but better.
Oh yeah, that one. I know what you're talking about.
It was the better Shaq Fu, you know? Just saying. If we're going to compare basketball games that were like platformers, it's the better Shaq Fu. That's kind of what happens. I remember playing Final Fight. I was not as into it. Okay, like I liked Hagar when I was at a very young age, but that was it. I was like, I like the big dude, and now if I say that now, it means something completely different. But still,
yeah. I played Final Fight when the first time I've ever played Final Fight. Was like when I was a teenager. Like I've never seen an arcade machine as a kid. I've seen it like when I was much older. There was like an arcade machine that had like multi video games, and they had a lot of Capcom games, including Final Fight and also like a couple of Street Fighter games. But for Final Fight, they had that there, and I played it because I knew Guy from Street Fighter Alpha, and Cody was also in Street Fighter Alpha 3. So I'm like, oh, I've been wanting to play this game because the first time I've ever heard of it was actually on a Nickelodeon show called What Will You Do? There was an episode that they just randomly had Final Fight, and kids were just playing that. And like, I was like, wait, that's Guy. He's with Street Fighter Alpha. But like, when I was watching reruns, like, I remember just seeing that. And then when I finally played it, I played as Guy. I play as Hagar and Cody. Guy's like my go-to character in that game. And that game is fun. Like, I actually loved that game a lot. More than I thought that I would.
Damn, where's my Mega Man beat 'em up?
Where's your Mega Man beat 'em up? I don't know.
Also, thanks for coming on in, Damaged Plushie. Yes, thank you for being a part of the amazingness that is this podcast. So, here's one that actually... So, what was a beat 'em up you were late to the game playing? Like, it came out a long time ago, but you just ended up trying it just now.
Let's see. I'll have to think about that. I think you could go first.
Maybe the original Streets of Rage. I'd played 2 and 3, but the newest one made me think, I've never played the original one of these. So I went back and tried it, and it was a fun time. It was definitely something that showed its age in comparison, especially to the newest one, where the newest one was a love letter to all of them, but one you could definitely see that while they had everything there that they really could use, it just needed another pass.
Right.
Oh, I definitely feel you on that. Feel you on that. Shell, still thinking of that answer?
Oh, I actually thought of one.
There you go.
If I had to think of like whatever was the most recent one for me, there was a Capcom beat 'em up that came out in 1997, and the first time I've actually played it from start to finish was last year. And that game is called Battle Circuit. It's in 2 different recent compilations that you can buy on the recent platforms. It's in the Capcom beat 'em up bundle, which you can play that one online with your friends, and it's also in Capcom Arcade Stadium. So the point of this game is you're taking missions from this one executive, because it's supposed to be like a more sci-fi, futuristic like beat 'em up. And there's even a boss where he's an Elvis impersonator. Like they have one of those in the game. It's actually very fun. I guess the game's 4 players, and I highly recommend it. It's actually Capcom's last side-scrolling beat 'em up in the arcades.
So another one for me, I have to agree with Ailing on this one. I was late playing the original Streets of Rage. However, how I ended up playing it was very funny. So me and my friends at the time, when the Wii came out, you know, the beautiful Wii Shop channel, that beautiful song, that beautiful just get that Wii Shop music going on in the background. That's it. But we got to the Wii Shop channel thing, and we found out that they had Sega Genesis games on their Wii Shop, which people who are shocked that we have a Genesis emulator on the Switch, guys, they've been doing it since the Wii. Yeah. I just want to let y'all know that. And how do I know this? Because that's how we ended up playing the first Streets of Rage. Yes, fun game. It was great. I never played a Streets of Rage game before that, though. I got into the series because of that. Because I didn't grow up with a Sega Genesis to play all the Sega games. Mind you, last year I did a whole month of Sega Genesis games because I never touched a Sega Genesis at all. And surprisingly enough, I had the patience to beat Echo the Dolphin. Ugh.
I'm pretty sure that my wife knows that someone said Echo the Dolphin, and because she has heard me say Echo the Dolphin out loud, she's just going to get irrationally angry.
Oh my God.
That is one of those games that she hates with a passion, just because she's like,
it is my white whale.
It's her white whale of video games, as she calls it.
I hate that game so much, but this is not the place for that game, though.
No, we're just leave that game out of here. We don't have to pretend or anything like that. Just nope, absolutely not. So
I share that hatred. I drink up to that hatred.
Oh no, we still have literally a few clips of that whole entire nonsense that was going on that day. But anyway, I never got into any Genesis games, so I never got to play Streets of Rages 1 through 3. However, my first time playing Streets of Rage, I had a good time. I never got to play 2 or 3. So when 4 came out, I bought 4, tried it out, and loved it. I'm like, now I really need to try the other 2 that I did not play. So Sega Genesis Mini that I bought, I kind of I did some modifications, and now I have all the Streets of Rage games, and all the Echo the Dolphin games, and all the other beat-em-ups that I could possibly miss. All the Sonics, everything. Although I am trying to get Knuckles Chaotix, but that's going to require an X32, and hopefully that CD drive that's supposed to be coming out for the Mini, I will add it in there when I get the chance.
Yes.
Hell yeah.
Great.
But all in all, Streets of Rage was one of the ones that I was not able to get into. That was so late to the party. I even played Battletoads before that, and even then I was like... But now I have another question, and this is going to be a fun one. What beat-em-up did you play that was based off of a television show that you enjoyed the most?
Probably The Simpsons.
Yes, that's a good one. I spent so many cores on that one.
So
I think it's easily The Simpsons. Just especially for what side-scroller beat-em-ups had been at the time. The Simpsons really felt like a fresh take on it while still being familiar. The combat felt extremely well-rounded. Now, not to say that the game didn't feel unfair at points, because it absolutely did. I mean, it was an arcade beat-em-up. Of course it was unfair. That thing was just designed to chew through your money and the money of anyone around you by accident.
Yes.
But it was still a really fun game.
Yep. Well, obviously, like, I can go on and on with talking about Ninja Turtles, specifically Turtles in Time, and we're going to get a new game this summer in Shredder's Revenge, which I cannot wait to get my hands on that game. But there's another one that I want to give the spotlight to. Okay, so honestly, I've spent so much time playing the 6-player X-Men beat-em-up. That game is amazing.
There's a 6-player X-Men beat-em-up? Excuse you?
Yes, there is.
Yes, there is. And yes, And yes, Mike actually brought up a good point. I actually got to play the first 2 levels of Shredder's Revenge when I was at PAX East. Really good stuff. Cannot wait for the full game. But yes, there is a 6-player X-Men beat 'em up. There's also 2-player or 4-player versions on the arcades, but 6 players is the way to go. It was re-released on Xbox Live and PlayStation Network a couple years ago, only for it to get delisted years later because the license expired. But it's fantastic.
Listen, Mike, if you do a 6-player X-Men, I called dibs on Beast, and no one else could say anything.
Unfortunately, Beast is not in it, but the most popular character is Colossus. So you have Wolverine, Cyclops, Storm, Colossus, Nightcrawler, and then there was a character named Dazzler that not many people remember.
Dazzler!
Because this was based off a pilot that wasn't picked up back in the 80s.
No one talks about Dazzler. No one talks about Dazzler.
Yeah.
What, you don't like disco X-Men themed characters?
She is the epitome of Dungeons and Dragons character doing dancing lights all the time. Just there you go. Just
and
dancing lights.
But the thing about the X-Men game, it has the most cheesiest lines. Like, for example, Magneto saying, "X-Men, welcome to die."
Oh, God,
and also, Colossus, every time he does his mutant power, he goes, "Oh!" To the point where in the MagFest convention, so many people go into one room and do that for hours because it's that memorable.
It's a tradition. It's a tradition in conventions just to go into a room for an hour and just do all of these catchphrases. Very important.
Yup, it is.
So y'all gonna find mine hilarious. So my favorite TV based beat 'em up was the Power Rangers the movie one for the SNES machine.
Oh, that one.
Like legitimate.
I don't think I ever played that one.
So legitimately, it was crazy because it was a big one that came into it. Oh, wait, hold on a sec. I forgot to turn alerts off. I'm being crazy.
That's fine.
But yes,
whatever.
Thank you for the follow who just decided to join in. I appreciate you. Anyway, but continuing what's happening. Welcome on in. Welcome on in, Psych Major. Appreciate you coming on in. Thanks for finding us. We're having our beautiful podcast called The Retrogade, where we talk about our retro stuff. This week's topic is side-scroller beat-em-ups.
Yes.
But yes, the one that I enjoyed was the Power Ranger movie side-scroller beat-em-up, where you got to play as, like, all of the things here. It is an amazing thing that happens. Example being, I used to love playing as Billy. I loved Billy as like a kid when it came to Power Rangers because I was like, the Blue Ranger, he can't fight that well, but he's learning. And just like me, who took up martial arts at 7 years old because his father was like, you got to learn the family business. You got to learn the family hobby. You got to learn the family business. So, whatchamacallit? I loved that one so much. I never got to beat it as a child, but then I ended up beating it like later in my adulthood. I do want to like play it at some point because it was a fun game. Like it was a 2-player beat 'em up. You got to turn into a Power Ranger. I got to live my fantasies. There'll be times that I play as the Yellow Ranger or the Pink Ranger for fun too because I enjoyed their weapons. Kimberly was broken in the game, by the way, because if you get her power-up item, she just has to stay on the left side of the screen throughout most of the game and just shoot everyone out of the way. It didn't even matter if the enemies were coming behind her. They just, the hitbox, they get shot along with it. It was great. Kimberly was busted in the game. They added a lot of good platforming elements to the beat-em-up as well, which was great. Like the snowboarding level was an amazing factor. Like the first game, like the first level, it's just you going through town and going into a mall. No real platforming aspect to it, but it was still good. Second level, they added monkey bars. Now you have to hang and kick at the same time. Third level, you're snowboarding and fighting at the same time. Okay? They make it look better than Sonic does in any of his games. Because you can throw a fist, throw a kick, and you are still on that board like nothing. And it gradually got better as each level went on. It was like, okay, it gets harder, but god dang is this great. So,
Yeah.
Power Rangers the movie, side-scrolling beat up. That's my best media-based video game in its prime time, and I loved every second of it.
Yeah.
I smell
Like-
pork chops.
Well, I have played that game as well, Hito, but I've never actually finished it. I need to go back and actually finish it at some point.
Yo,
Because
do you need a partner for that game?
we'll see what happens. Like, there's so many games that there's so many beat 'em ups I want to play with people, but the best beat 'em ups to play are those that are like 4 players.
Yeah. Scott Pilgrim. like
Streets of
how we
Rage
did.
4.
Streets of Rage 4 too. That was actually great. Like, mind you, I did a solo run for Streets of Rage 4, but like I never got a chance to do a 4-player run of it. It was a fun game. So we go into the next one. Which one was the most frustrating beat 'em up to you?
Frustrating, huh?
Like, you just threw your controller and was just tired of it. You didn't even want to look at your controller that day. You were just like, man, fuck this game.
The first Double Dragon on NES. I cannot get past the 3rd level.
Probably for mine, and I've went back and played it, and I still just, it makes me wish that I didn't have thumbs. Probably River City Ransom. I hate that game in a real way. It hates me, and we're okay with that. It is mutually exclusive hatred.
Yeah.
That game just, it drives me up one wall and down the other.
So here's a thing that you're all gonna love. So Battletoads was my most frustrating as a child. I actually got through the motorcycle level. Yeah.
Oh, Turbo Tunnel, yeah.
Yeah. Do you know how long it took me to get through that level as a child?
Oh my lord.
Close to over 200 attempts. And I had to keep
God.
repeating the same level before it just to keep doing it. But I cannot lie, River City Ransom was one of the games that got me lost very quickly, because it's more open of a beat 'em up than anything. And then you also get to see a naked butt in the game too, because, you know, if you get the Japanese version of it, go to the sauna, just see Alex doing his thing with the towel. Don't worry, it's not high definition. It's not like a high definition booty like in Heavy Rain with Ethan, okay? It's not.
Oh my god.
It's just an it's just a lopsided 3. That's it. You'll be fine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There is another game that I do want to bring into. So, have you guys gotten into any indie beat 'em ups? A title that you think that probably not that many people will go into.
I mean, does the Scott Pilgrim count?
I mean, yes and no, because it's AAA now, but it wasn't back then.
It wasn't back then, no. But I know for a fact that Streets of Rage 4 is done by indie developers, but it's a Sega IP.
Yep.
For mine, what do you consider, or at least how do you consider River City Girls?
So, River City Girls, I would consider, okay, so technically, it still has the River City IP to it, but also it's also an indie. It's kind of like with Streets of Rage 4. It still has the IP. However, it was made by indie developers, so I would count it because it's still made by said indie developers.
I wasn't sure quite where it fell on that list, because it's like, sure, technically it's a sequel-esque thing, but I would argue that it was a sequel-esque thing to a cult following game, but for all intents and purposes, a long and truly extended dead game. You know, River City Ransom has its players to it, but you are not going to just have people pop up and be like, you know what I loved? River City Ransom. It's just not going to happen. So the fact that it had a pseudo-sequel made for it, and that it did so well from an indie developer, just made me really happy for the game and the genre as a whole.
So, There is one game that I've played that I think Shell probably remembers because people kept making Kuwabara jokes to it. So I played a game called The Story of Ringo Ishikawa.
Oh, that
And
one.
this one, I technically can count it as a side-scrolling beat 'em up to also like a story type game because it had like the same qualities of River City Ransom. However, it always ends the same way with Ringo getting his ass whooped. Sorry, guys. Spoiler for the story of
Oh,
Ringo
no.
Ishikawa. But it's actually still worth it to play through it the first time because you can unlock so many different events that happen in the game during your time of playing it. I enjoyed it a lot. I actually played through it twice. I played for it solo on my own and then I streamed it to see if I could unlock something new. And it's essentially just think Japanese high school delinquents always getting into fights and having turf wars with other school delinquents as well. And basically them going through that story. And you can choose whether Ringo becomes more studious or becomes more of someone who uses his physical talents for like boxing instead of actually beating the crap out of somebody. Maybe kick the smoking habit a little bit. Maybe not be a total punk ass bitch half the time. You know, the good stuff.
As you do.
But it always ends up where Ringo has committed so much of his bullshit around the world, even before the game even started, that his past catches up to him. So it's a really interesting game. It's a fun indie game to like kill probably, let's say, a day or two if you're feeling it. It's a really good side scroller beat 'em up, and definitely if you learn like new techniques fighting wise, you can excel through the game in many different ways. You could be book smart and not get into any fights and earn money that way. You can learn boxing and actually pick up new techniques to use against these delinquents, so on and so forth. It's a really good game, honestly. Like, it's done real well. Do I hate the fact that it ends the way it does? Yes. Did I have fun along the journey? Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
That's one of my that's a highly recommended indie game. I recommend. It's on the Switch, and I also believe it's on Steam. I just want to double check on that. Like,
Yeah.
Steam, open up for me. Do you belong in the Steam library where people can actually like get it? Yep, the
Yeah.
Friends of Ringo Ishikawa for $5.84. There's also a
Nice.
manga on it too in Steam as well. So really good. It's a really good game. I'd give it a shot. It's not that expensive. It's literally $6 just to play the whole game. It's a complete indie game. No DLC, no nothing. I promise.
Yeah.
So now this is a good thing that goes into it. What is one beat 'em up that you enjoyed playing with friends?
Let's see. There's a lot of them actually for me. Scott Pilgrim is one of them. Streets of Rage 4, I haven't really got a chance to do like the main game with other people. I've only done survival mode, and that's it. But let's see, Ninja Turtles, Simpsons, X-Men with 6 players, Captain Commando is a good one. Let's see, like the list goes on and on. What about you, Eilig?
I think my favorite one of at least the last 15 years, let's say, Castle Crasher.
Yes, Castle Crashers. How did that slip my mind?
I like
It's
Lollipop
such a
Night for the win.
good game. They get the combat just right in it, along with what the visual should be for that style of the game.
Yeah.
Oh, and technically that counts as an indie game. It started off on Newgrounds.
Yes,
Hey, we in there.
Okay, that's the one. All right, yeah. I don't. So that put that as my answer for that last question.
Lollipop
but yeah.
Night for the win.
Yeah. Yeah, Castle Crashers, I own it on like multiple platforms. I own it on 360, PS3, Steam, and also the Switch.
All right. For me, I am stuck between two. So I really got into Scott Pilgrim because I played a lot of that with my friends. However, uh, Castle Crashers was indeed another one that I played, and then there's a third one.
Mm-hmm.
This was actually going to go into it, but Battletoads was actually the game that I still remember that I had fun with. The one that Mike brings up in talk right there about, remember how disappointing the new Battletoads was? It wasn't even a beat 'em up half the time. Although it wasn't a beat 'em up half the time, it was still fun. I had fun with the new Battletoads. When we were doing the beat 'em up portions, it was still the whole purpose of being a beat 'em up, but all the extra fun that was in there, like the extra modes of, oh, well, now we have to do a shooter, now we have to do this, now we have to change it between that. It changed genres, but it still kept its core beat 'em up style when it came to those portions of the game. However, if I was to choose one game that I enjoyed playing with friends a lot the most, it would have to be Scott Pilgrim. I literally bought used 360 controllers just to play with 4 of my friends online when we would come over and do that. My place always used to be banging for a game night. We would always just have like, okay, what game are we playing today? And do I need to bring my controller? Yes and yes. We are playing Scott Pilgrim today. Cool. Remind me which character has the weapons. You're using knives. Okay, got it. We're good. That's literally how it will go. Yeah, it was pretty fun.
Yep.
Okay. Now this is where things get interesting.
All right.
I'm going to ask you a very important question.
Go right ahead.
To you, what is the difference between a beat 'em up and a hack and slash? And I'm kind of nixing off the side scroller part of a beat 'em up, because you know some hack and slashes are side scrollers as well, and some of them are not. But what is the difference between a beat 'em up, I'm not at minus the side scroller part, and the hack and slash?
Let me chew on that one for a half second.
So I'll go with mine. All right. So for a beat 'em up versus hack and slash, the thing with hack and slash is that you mostly use swords, and you focus more on slashing any of the enemies that come right in front of you. Whereas beat 'em up, you're not really limited to that, and it's like you could use your fists, you could pick up like pipes, you could pick up so many different objects, but there may be swords in some of them, but they're not quite hack and slash in a sense. You mostly focus on like just beating up with your fists. Sure, there's also guns, but then there's also running guns, and that's another can of worms right there.
Yeah.
Cuphead.
Yeah, Cuphead. But yeah, beat 'em ups versus hack and slash. Beat 'em ups uses fists. Hack and slash uses weapons like swords and stuff. That's practically what I have to say about that.
Shal, I just want you to really think about like what you just said, and then look above you on the stream. Just look very carefully where it says side scroller beat 'em ups.
Yeah, but I see Ninja Turtles, and it's not even just swords. You could use like bow staffs. You could use scythes. You could use nunchucks. And in that game, April is going to be using her microphone.
Yeah.
And Splinter uses his cane.
Yeah, April will be using her microphone. You know,
Yeah.
for all the boys and girls who listen.
Oh boy.
Everyone can hear a bone crack every time that microphone just.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, for mine, see, I'm in a little bit of a disagreement on it, only because I have a different circumstance where I kind of set the line at. Because for me, I count like Golden Axe, Altered Beast. I count those as what we're talking about right now.
Beat 'em up.
Beat 'em up.
As you should.
I consider it a beat 'em up. Now, that does bring the question, though, and it's where I get fuzzy with the line. If those are beat 'em ups, because you have a sort of ranged weapon, but you're also doing close-ish attack damage based on what the enemy capabilities are, it makes me wonder, is Castlevania a beat 'em up? Because The only difference is instead of using a melee weapon, you're using a whip, which technically is still a melee weapon. That's where because I know, like, for example, even though it fits the same thing, it's more of a run and gun for me. Like, my line is between Castlevania, because I consider Castlevania a beat 'em up, especially like Castlevania 2, where you can go back and forth between screens. But I don't consider Sunset Riders one because it's far more of a run and gun. It definitely crosses that line for me.
I brought up this interesting topic because there's a lot of games that fit into this theme as well. Lots of run and guns are a big one. For example, would you consider Metal Slug a beat 'em up? Yes, they use their guns, but they do get a whole bunch of other weapons along the way. And they are also limited to what they side scroll. You got to remember that. You got to kill a whole bunch of enemies and sometimes a tank just to get to the next part of the stage. Would you consider Contra a beat 'em up?
No. It's a run and gun.
Yeah, Contra for me is a run and gun. Mainly, now, this is going to sound very hypocritical, and I'm aware of this. But Contra, why it's a run and gun to me is that you can not backtrack, but at the same time, you can't backtrack in Metal Slug, which I do consider to be a beat 'em up. So it's real fuzzy on what I consider a beat 'em up to not be, because there are games that I just firmly consider that even though they share the same mechanics, at their core, for whatever reason, they are not a beat 'em up.
So that also leads to interesting questions, because now even recent beat 'em ups now, even with recent beat 'em ups as they go along now, a big example being Scott Pilgrim, that now defines beat 'em ups in some way as well. This is a beat 'em up that you can backtrack in. Same with certain things. Now that we have for more recent beat 'em ups that we have now, you can backtrack. Unlike our retro beat 'em ups where you can't backtrack, where you have to go into a distinct spot, and the second that you move right, you can't go left. So now this is where we can now probably find the defining line of a retro beat 'em up to a modern beat 'em up.
Yeah. Now, the other reason I say that my lines are very fuzzy is, and this is going to anger you both. I have no doubt that this opinion of mine is going to make you both very upset.
Go right ahead.
Streets of Rage 4 is a MOBA. It is a multiplayer online battle arena. It's not massively multiplayer. It is technically just multiplayer online battle arena. And that's what the game is. So my stuff gets real fuzzy because I will attribute lines to games that no one in their right mind ever would.
I thought about it. You're not wrong, but the situation is it still has the old aesthetics of it's supposed to be based off of the beat 'em ups regardless from the last three. They made it in a way where now anyone online can join you in your campaign, so that changes it up a bit. And technically it is mobile now because the Switch is a mobile technical gaming system that you can carry with you anywhere. But even more so,
it fuzzes the line. It's just one of those but it does. That's why I say that my line on what a beat 'em up is similarly fuzzy for that reason. Because again, I don't consider Sunset Riders to be a beat 'em up, but I consider Metal Slug to be one. And it's just, there's this intangible thing I can't quite put my finger on as to why, and it's because my brain does stuff like that. My brain's like, nah, Streets of Rage 4, River City Girls, the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Shredder's Revenge. These are beat 'em ups. They are also MOBAs.
Also, we got a question from chat from Proto Mandlin. Aren't combo counters also a major beat 'em up feature?
I would say that they are, and I don't even want to say recent, because technically they're not, because you had the multiple hit multipliers in the old arcade games. I would say that they are a feature of the game. I don't know if they would be a major feature, because even if a game didn't have a combo system, if it was more just 2 to 3 hit combos and that was it, I would still consider that to be a beat 'em up. I think that a combo counter is a solid mechanic to a beat 'em up, but I don't know if it's necessarily a major mechanic.
Okay. Shell, what are your thoughts on that?
Let's see here. To be honest, like combo counters, I think they took that specifically from fighting games, or rather, I'm not sure what came first. Like the combo counters start in beat 'em ups, or did they start in fighting games? I'm trying to think about that. But to be quite honest, I'm not really sure. Because I got to figure out like where did they start counting combos at? Did they start counting combos in beat 'em ups or fighting games? Because I'm honestly like perplexed on that one.
I can technically see combo counters being very important to most beat 'em ups because of the fact that, especially in older ones, there was no way to break out of certain combos. If you were stuck in the air and the guy kept hitting you over and over again and it continued into that loop, you know, kind of like a Sonic 06 Silver situation, yeah, you were stuck. The combo counters actually found a way to break through with that. And I think we can find them in integral pieces of games, such as fighting games, as you said before, Shell. A big company that uses the combo break situation, like the combo counters, would be the combo break counters in Arc System games, like Blaze Blue, Persona 4 Arena, Night and Day, and Ruby crossovers. All of those actually count into it. Dragon Ball FighterZ uses them too. Guilty Gear is another one. These are actually very important. And then they started implementing these in other games, like Street Fighter later on down the line, taking that example from Guilty Gear, or Tekken doing that as well to break combos as well. Like you get one barrier break, etc., etc. These type of things. So I believe combo breakers can actually, like combo breakers and combo counters are definitely a important major beat 'em up feature, but I don't think that they define the beat 'em up genre itself. I think they're nice to have in a beat 'em up, but it's not the pure definition of a side scroller beat 'em up. And now my train of thought came back to what Alig said earlier about Streets of Rage 4 being a MOBA. I understand it being fuzzy because of the fact that people multiply can go online and join someone's campaign and join their beat 'em up. But it also but I think that only factors in on how people join the game as opposed to what the game is. If that makes sense. Because at the end of the day, the game is designed as a side scroller beat 'em up. You play it as a side scroller beat 'em up. However, add the component now where add a MOBA component where people can now just join said side scroller beat 'em up. That's where I believe that comes in. It comes into that point where it's like, okay, so it's a MOBA beat 'em up. We can call them literally a Mo beat 'em up, where people can go online and just beat 'em up with the thing. It created its own subgenre in a way. And most people don't realize this, but games nowadays are combining into other types of subgenres that we couldn't even think imaginable. Like running and gunning was something that seemed near impossible back then, and then we got things like Contra and Metal Slug to prove that. It's a beat 'em up. It runs like a beat 'em up, but it's now considered its own subgenre because now it's just guns. Run and gun.
Yeah.
And I think when you break those apart and you dissect the game's typing and genre and gameplay style just a little bit, you can slowly see the criteria of what makes a game its genre. For example, what would you consider TMNT? It's a side-scroller multiplayer beat 'em up with the new game that's coming out as an example, if it does what Streets of Rage 4 does, it can also technically be considered a MOBA. However, people define MOBA as tower defense games, like League of Legends or Paragon or Smite, and that's where we have to remember what MOBA truly is. That's what makes up a MOBA. Two teams fighting against each other at the end of the day, as opposed to, let's say, Streets of Rage 4, which is not like a tower defense game in some way. But it's a beat 'em up where people can join. If anything, I wouldn't consider it probably a MOBA, but I would consider it, let's say, an MMO beat 'em up, where it's not multi-massive, but I would say that it was multi, so an MO beat 'em up, a Mo beat 'em up.
Yeah, it's one of those provocative thoughts, because like technically it meets everything that's really required to be a MOBA, even though it's nothing like any MOBA you would ever think about when someone says, "Hey, would you like to play a MOBA?"
Yeah. Exactly. So I think if anything, we won't be. I think it's more on the fact that we can't call Streets of Rage a MOBA, but we can call it a plug and play for a beat 'em up where people can just plug into whatever person's team that they can and then just join in. It's kind of it's literally just a co-op multiplayer type beat 'em up where anyone could just hop in. And
that go ahead.
And these are where subgenres comes into gaming, and I believe that beat 'em ups have also created that genre of hack and slash now, where it's like a more 3D approach to the games, because rarely do you see a hack and slash as a side scroller. Like, very rarely you see that. When you think of hack and slash, you're thinking Devil May Cry, God of War, Lollipop Chainsaw,
or even the Dynasty Warriors games.
Dynasty Warriors games is a big one on that one. These are like examples of the subgenre of hack and slash, but you know it's hack and slash because it's a 3D approach. You can go from 360 of your angle to go to where you need to go. Side scroller beat 'em up, it's a straight 180 line. You're going from left to right or right to left, depending on what the game is doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's going back to why I was saying that line fuzzes for me. And to be fair, a lot of lines fuzz for me because I'm very nebulous in that idea of what a game is or isn't. For me, Castlevania is a beat 'em up.
Yeah.
It does it for me. It is, and that's really where I draw the line on a beat 'em up versus a run and gun. It is the comparison of Castlevania to Sunset Riders. You can play those and you can come out of the game feeling that you played two different genres of game. You wouldn't compare the two and say, okay, they're the exact same kind of game.
I would say even more so on that when you think about a side-scroller beat-em up. What is one thing that always seems to be an obstacle in a side-scroller beat-em up?
Definitely like trash cans, things like that. Your trash cans or your generic like boxes, things that you can break to get health or items from.
Like also like having weapons on the floor, like for example, a steel pipe is one of them. Another one would be like a knife. And just picking them up, throwing them at your opponent. In some games, it could be different depending on the theme of the game. Like, for example, in The Simpsons, if you're playing the Japanese version of the game, you could throw bombs at any of, like, your enemies. Whereas in the United States version, like, every version outside of Japan, the only way you could throw bombs at your opponent is you find the, not the final boss, but the one before, Mr. Smithers. Because they took bombs out of every other stage except for the final stage. And also, in the Japanese version, you could throw a nuke.
Huh.
So here's one big obstacle when it comes to a side-scroller beat 'em up that makes me 100% sure that it's a beat 'em up. And it is when you are going when you're going from left to right, and you are stopped by an invisible wall and have to go against a whole bunch of enemies in one shot. And you are not allowed to cross to that side of the wall until all the enemies are dead. You have to take out everything. It's implemented in TMNT. It's implemented in The Simpsons. It's implemented in Battletoads. It's implemented in Streets of Rage. It's implemented in Final Fight. It's implemented in Scott Pilgrim, implemented in Castle Crashers. It is the biggest defining, I believe that is the biggest defining feature to a side-scroller beat-em-up. If they are limiting you from getting to one place until you beat up basically all the enemies in that section, that is the forced definition of a side-scroller beat-em-up. And Proto Mandolin actually brought up a very good point, saying, "So, there we go. So, a forced side scroller and a free scroller is the major difference." Yeah, that's where I personally see the definition of it. So, for example, Alig used the example of Castlevania being a side scroller beat 'em up. I would call it a side free scroller beat 'em up as opposed to a forced side scroller.
Yeah.
That would be the key component.
You're not wrong.
That would be the key component because we always have that situation. Even the Power Rangers game did that too. When I played it when I was younger, the Power Rangers game actually would limit me from going to point A to point B until I defeated all my foes around me. I could even turn into a Power Ranger and kill everyone in one shot. That would be my whole entire day. But I think those are like the key components to a side scroller being up that we look for in criteria when it comes to like specifying what genres it has. And this is why multiple games have multiple genres to them.
Yeah.
So when you hear something like, I want to make a shooter visual novel, it's just literally some parts of the stage you're shooting and saving lives, and then you choose the person that you saved as a visual novel portion of the game. That's people are like, but that's not a visual novel. I'm like, it is partially.
Yeah.
Like Castlevania is considered an action platformer, partially.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's where it goes.
Yeah.
Also, I just noticed you're wearing a TMNT shirt on you, Shell. You gotta represent the beat 'em up that you enjoy. Hey, look, I got a beat 'em up, Hyrule Warriors. No, it's hack and slash. I'm messing around.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is legitimately like what it is when it comes to classifications of these games. Now, y'all are in for a treat. We're tier listing games, and if you never heard of these games, you got inspiration to play them now. Guys,
let's go.
Hell yeah.
We're tier listing games now.
Yep.
Upcoming. Yep. Psych Major brings up a very interesting point, which I'm looking forward to it. Three Hopes is another upcoming hack and slash, which I've been replaying Three Houses, and oh my god, I've been replaying Three Houses. That's all I gotta say.
Mm-hmm.
The dialogue is long, but I still enjoy it because it's a visual novel / strategy RPG. Another example of mixing genres, which always comes out to like really interesting gameplay.
Yeah.
All right, so now we remove this, guys. Here we go. There's a lot of side scrollers we did not bring up.
There's a few.
Yeah, that's definitely a lot. Now the question is, where do we begin?
Let's start with first, let's start with something immediate. All three of us actually get to pick an S class that automatically goes to S. No questions asked because it's our favorite.
Okay. All right. So, Turtles in Time. Without hesitation. Turtles in Time.
That's yours. Boom.
I don't know if you have it on the board. Do you have Guardian Heroes on the board?
That's a great game right there. Yeah, it's there. I see it. It's
Guardian Heroes right here.
Guardian Heroes is immediately up there. Just
yes.
S tier all the way across. Chef's kiss.
Yes, I agree. Yes. And Hito, what's yours?
Is it bad that I'm gonna actually put? I got choices, but because I know it's probably not gonna hit S, I'm still gonna put it here. A. The Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movie is going up there. It was a fun game for me. Wait, is Ninja Baseball Batman on? Ninja Baseball.
We should check.
Batman. Let's see. Let's see. I see Ninja Warriors. I see Ninja Gaiden. It is. Oh wait, no, not the game, but like, you know, is it Ninja Baseball Batman is here? Yes.
Yeah, it's right. It's right next to Ninja Gaiden.
Yep. All right, guys. So let's start with. So now that we picked our S, because mind you, this is a game that I define as a side scroller beat 'em up. That was the one that was like, yep, this is it. This is the one. So the first one is a detective story, 64th Street.
Never actually played it.
No opinion.
Yeah, neither have I. This is the first I'm hearing of it.
All right. Next one is Advanced Guardian Heroes.
Never actually got to play that one. I own it, but I never, my brother was the one that played it.
Yeah, I've never played it.
Never played it either. See, so the reason why I do these tier lists, because do you see all of the games that we've skipped in our talks today?
There's a chance that we probably have not played some of the games, or
this is me challenging you guys a little bit too, because it's like, hey, you've never played these games, you might want to try them, just to reignite that flame of like games that you've enjoyed but you missed out on them.
Yeah,
we here at the Retrogade are all about dropping the retro bomb and dropping the inspiration for you to play games that you have not played before.
I already see a game on the list that I cannot wait to dump on. I have opinions about that game, and we'll be to it very quickly.
Gotcha. We got Alien versus Predator.
That game is phenomenal.
I enjoyed it, but it was a B to me. It was okay. It was fine.
I would give it a solid A. It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed the time that I had with it.
So because I gave it S and Hito gave it B and I give it A, so A.
A.
An average, yeah.
All right.
A it is.
Armored Warriors.
Never got to finish that one, but from what I played, it's actually pretty good.
I have no opinion on it.
I'm in the same boat of I think it was fun. I enjoyed it, but it never at any point has made me want to go back around and say, you know what I want to play? That one.
So, you two have the score on this one. What do you got?
I'll give it a B.
Yeah, I was going to say C, but B is fair enough. I'm trying to get my brain in the idea that B and C are both, perfectly middle of the road. Just one it's a little more favorable than less favorable middle of the road. So yeah, I'd say B.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with you on that one.
Next up, Asterix.
Well, Asterix is more European-centric.
Mm-hmm.
Never played it.
Never played it
myself.
Yeah,
I've never played it either.
All right, so next up is Bad Dude.
I never got to play Bad Dudes.
This game is freaking hilarious.
I've played a little bit of it. I would argue I don't have enough in it to have an opinion on it, but I've definitely played it.
The voice acting in this game is bad but funny. But the gameplay was kind of CB for me. Nothing stood out. This was during a time that we were getting a whole bunch of beat-em-ups. It was like, it's a beat-em-up.
Yeah.
So I would put this on C.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Next up is a game by Acclaim, and I can barely read it. It says Batman Forever.
It sucks. That's an F.
Oh, absolutely an F. It's awful.
Garbage. It's the Superman 64 of the PS1.
Well, I wouldn't go that far, but it's definitely up there as really being really bad.
Yeah, it's way up there.
We also got Batman Returns.
That's the question. I'm assuming it's the Super Nintendo version, and if so, I've never finished the game, so I'm going to put no opinion.
F. So many Fs, like 9 of them.
Yep.
Put it below the F. There needs to be a
shit.
G. We need a separate category just for this game. It is that bad.
Oh, wow.
All right.
It's terrible because the main reason it's terrible is you're doing the side-scroller beat-em-up thing, but to use gadgets and that, you had to do some Street Fighter-style inputs, and mind you, most of those inputs would drop 60% of the time. They dropped them all the time. It was terrible.
Oh my god.
Proto Mandolin
right.
as a joke says, "Nah, it's totally an S rank game." Oh, also, Snezkov says, "Any Warriors games on the list?" And I believe, let's see, do we have any Warriors games? I don't see any. I see Warriors Fate.
That's a different game.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
And we did Armored Warriors, but that was about it. That's all I saw.
All right. What's next?
Up, Battle Circuit.
Oh, A. Great game. Great game.
I definitely give it an A.
Yeah, I'm going A, B, so A.
There we go.
Great game.
We don't have to say much. We just agreed it's an A game.
Yeah.
That's it.
What's next?
You don't like it? Go to a different show. I'm sorry.
Yeah. This is not your place.
From F to A. From F to A. I mean.
From F to A, yeah.
I mean, that happened to me in 7th grade. Wait.
Wait,
No,
what?
No. That's not it. All right, so this is the. I'm assuming that might be the. Oh, I think that's the arcade one.
Yep.
Never played it.
Yeah, I've never played the arcade one.
I know it's on Rare Replay, but I don't have an Xbox to play it on, so until I do, no opinion.
This is a B. Actually, no, wait, this is the arcade version. This is an A for me, technically, because guess what? The arcade version actually had better controls when it came to the motorcycle.
That's kind of important.
So
that's good.
You know, I'll put it in A where it belongs. It's also a trademark game to begin with, any which way. Like, it deserves its props, but the remake deserves to be in D.
I never played the remake. I had heard stories. I'm like, you know what? I think I'm good.
Yeah, 'cause it becomes a beat 'em up, and then a shooter, and then an action platformer, and then a detective game, and then a point and click, and then a side scroller, and then a thing. Owl, listen, you chose Bratz over Mega Man. It's okay.
Still can't believe that.
Owl's just like, is this a good time to say I like the remake?
Anyway, what's next game?
Wait. Wait, Proto Mandolin's gonna go off on Owl. Another Mega Man fan in the room. I forgot. That one comment has ruined my credibility. Oh no. We love you, Al. We still love you. Even if you're wrong. It's fine. I'm joking. It's so bad. I gotta stop. The Adventures of Bayou Billy.
Never played it.
C. Hard C. It's not so bad that I start talking about D or F level territory, but it is below the standard that we have to this point for what a B is. It's perfectly passable. It's inoffensive. It's basically beat 'em up filler.
Yeah, and it had gimmicks using like different Nintendo Entertainment System peripherals.
Yeah, it's. You know what? No. D. It deserves to be down there.
Okay, we can at least fill the D spot.
Yeah, the more that I'm thinking about, the more I'm like, you know what? There are games that I'm going to be putting on a C list eventually that probably don't deserve to be there next to this title.
There.
Yeah. So next game.
Alright, so the next game is Cadillacs and Dinosaurs.
Hey, that game rocks. And the
I don't think I've ever played that one.
Yeah,
never played it, so Shell, you get to grade this one.
It's an A. Like, this game is actually made by Capcom. It's based on like a comic series that has a cult following in the 90s, as well as a TV show that only had one season. And it has a killer soundtrack. There's you have 3 players playing the game, but it's a lot of fun. But it gets really hard towards the end of the game.
All right, next up is Captain Commando.
A.
Yeah. Not even a question.
Castle Crashers.
Also, like, I'm gonna excuse me. I'm gonna have to give it like a higher A. Like, I'm leaning towards either low S or high A. Probably high A for this one.
I'm going for S because you know what? This game started on Newgrounds and now look where it is. Look where it started.
I would argue S in the sense that if someone offered me a choice between Turtles in Time, Guardian Heroes, and Castle Crashers to play, if someone showed up at my house right now and said, sit down, bitch, we're playing one of these 3 games, I'd have a hard time choosing.
Yeah.
Which that's why it puts it in S for me, is if I compare it up against other S tier games, I can't at any point say I would rather play that than Castle Crashers. There's a good chance that Castle Crashers wins based on my mood at the time.
Right.
So we agree to put Castle Crashers at S then.
Yeah, put it at S.
All right. Next up, DD Crew.
Never played it.
Never heard of it.
It's actually the first time I've ever heard of it.
The Death and Return of Superman.
Didn't really play a lot of it. Only played a little bit of it, but not enough to really have an opinion.
Not the Superman game.
From the little that I remembered, it feels like it'd be unfair to grade it. Because if I was going to grade it, I'd be putting it like a C. But again, I know so little of it. At this point, it's been decades. That's like, just no opinion.
Okay, so now we're up to the next one, which is Die Hard Arcade.
I had fun with it. It gets a B.
Never played it. Never played the arcade game of it.
Yeah.
All right. Mine was no opinion, so Shell got the solo grade on that one.
So now we see Double Dragon 2 twice. There's the NES one and then there's the arcade one.
Mm-hmm.
Though
there's also the arcade one and the NES one for Double Dragon 3, and then there's a lot of Double Dragons going on here.
Let's do a little Double Dragon lightning round. So Double Dragon 2 The Revenge. Never actually got to beat the game because it's hard. Very hard.
Yeah.
But I will say though, I'm going to give Double Dragon 2 The Revenge an A.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking A, B, yeah, A.
Yeah, both versions for me.
Both versions an A.
Now, Double Dragon 3, The Sacred Stones, or in the arcade it's called Rosetta Stone.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give the arcade version a D and the NES version an F. It's not good, but
no, they're not. They
really did slip up on that one. Although, mind you, I would have put the arcade version in F as well. I'm sorry, they were both just terrible.
Yeah, because in the NES version, you only have one life. The only time you ever get lives in the game is in the form of other playable characters. And even then, the other thing is that if you press start on player 2, you get Jimmy. But to be honest, it's not worth playing that game. It's not. No. Screw it.
If anyone hands you a controller and says, hey, sit down, we're playing Double Dragon 3, reconsider if you need to know them as a person. Let alone a friend. just on an existential level, do you need to know them anymore? Because I don't think you do.
Yeah. Well,
jeez.
Yeah, Double Dragon 3 is just not good. But we got different versions of Double Dragon 1. And it all depends on how they were. So, which one is the first one that's here?
Double Dragon 5, by the way.
Oh, 5? Actually, that must be Double Dragon 4. I never played that one. That's actually a recent game that captures the spirit of the old games in, but I haven't played it, so I don't have an opinion.
I sadly don't have an opinion on it.
I didn't know that there was a fifth one at all. This is news to me.
Yep.
Double Dragon for the Game Boy Advance.
Never played that version of the
Never
game.
played it.
Double Dragon.
This must be the arcade game.
It is. Insert coin is here.
I will give it a B, only for the simple fact that at least I had some enjoyment with that version of the game, but it's hard.
I'd give it a C.
Go ahead and slap it in B then, because I was going to give it an A.
All right.
I think that for the time especially, because I grew up right around the era that Double Dragon was in arcade, things like that. I played it in arcade before I did on NES.
Yeah.
And for the time, what it accomplished for helping develop a genre in and of itself, that's why I put it in A. It's one of the, I would say it's one of the grandfathers of beat-em-ups.
Yeah. So next looks like it's Double Dragon Neon, which I'll say this right now. I've attempted to play this game years ago on Steam, and from what little I played of it, I enjoyed it, but the game crashed. So, but I will say though, it's not enough of an opinion for me to judge the game, so I'm going to put no opinion on it. I will eventually get to this game someday.
I have not played Neon myself. I didn't even know it existed.
Yep, this is the first I'm hearing of it.
It's developed by WayForward. I heard it's really good. And the NES one, let's see. C. I'll give it the lowest. I'll just give it a C. But it's hard. I could never get past the third area.
C for me as well.
Y'all outvote me 2-1. I was going to put it D. I think mainly because I'm so influenced by what the arcade version is that I feel like I may be too harshly criticizing the NES version for not being that.
That's fair, but also you got to remember, most games are, especially at that time, most games, especially when they were ported to the NES, they were supposed to technically be better than their predecessors in most times.
Yeah.
Like, when you think about it, it's like, oh, this is supposed to technically be better, but they let me down, so now we're upset.
There is a Sega Master System version of the game, which is not here. And that one is better than the NES one because you get to play 2 players. Whereas on NES, you have to take turns.
Mm-hmm.
So when you died, it's the next player's turn.
Yeah.
Okay, next one is Dragon Row.
Oh, wait, that's Dragon's Crown.
There we go.
I've only played a little bit of it, but not enough to have an opinion.
I've not touched this game. I've not touched this game. Dynamite Cop.
I heard it's really good. All right, Dynamite Cop. Never played it.
Never played it.
I've heard of it,
but I'm hearing of it.
All right, so no opinion.
No opinion.
Yeah.
Dynamite. I almost said something else. Dynamite Ducks.
I heard this game was not good, but I've never played it myself.
I've not touched it.
I didn't do a lot of early Sega stuff, so no clue.
Okay.
All right, Fighting Force.
Tried it out, because like there was a time when my uncle let me borrow a PlayStation, and this was before I owned one, like months before, and this was one of the games. I thought it was okay, but again, not enough of an opinion to really judge the game.
All right. Alig?
I don't know. It was inoffensive enough. I mean, for me, it wasn't bringing a whole lot new to the table, but I did have some fun with it.
Yeah.
C.
All right. So Alig gets the solo vote there because I've never played this game myself.
Okay, that's fair.
All right. Now we're going to Final Fight. I'm going to start with the original one because technically speaking, 2 and 3 were kind of out of order, but first Final Fight. I'd give it an A.
Yeah. I was A, B on it. I would lean more A towards B if I had to put money on the table.
What happened to the first fight? First Final Fight's here. It's right here.
Yeah, that is the one.
That's the one right there. Hey, Final Fight 2.
Never finished it, so no opinion.
Yeah, but how did you enjoy the game, at least, for Final Fight 2?
Decent, not as good as Final Fight, but a decent game for what I played of it. Though I only got through half of the game at least, so I'll probably, if I have to judge it, I'll probably give it like a C.
This one was a B for me.
I was kind of living the BC line, so either way, I'm really happy with. You know, put it C.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
It was a little, especially coming off Final Fight. Final Fight 2 feels like it could have done things a little better, especially being a sequel, and some of it just didn't do better.
That's fair. Final Fight 3.
Oh my god, yes. Give me that S. That game is incredible.
They fixed everything they did in the first 2 games and made it an absolute gem.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's S.
Yes, the best one.
Here's the thing that you notice, though. When it came to Streets of Rage, first one was okay, the second one was great, the third one, not so much. And then when you put it to Final Fight as a mirror image, the third one was great, the second one was not so great, and the first one was aight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just let that be known, Sega. That's how sequels work, okay? Just saying. I love you, Sega, but seriously, your sequels, especially for Sonic the Hedgehog, please.
We will definitely get to the Streets of Rage games soon. But what's next?
Next up is Frank Crazy Revenge.
Never heard of it.
Never heard of it.
This is this is the first I'm learning of it.
We'll just put it right there. Let's see. Crusade. Something Crusade. I can't read it.
No opinion then.
Yeah, no. I don't even. Nope.
Gekido.
I've been wanting to play that. I haven't played it yet. So no opinion.
Yeah, never touched it.
Which I feel somewhere Owl's turning like, Hito, pronounce it correctly. I'm like, I'm not linguistic enough for this. But whatchamacallit? Gekido. So what are we? Oh, no opinion. I never touched it. There's also the PlayStation version.
Spoiler, never touched that one either.
Yeah. Yeah, but same thing. We're getting to the Golden Axe games. Okay.
I love the Golden Axe games. I'm in trouble. You're absolutely right on my reaction.
So, Golden Axe. Okay. Let's figure out where we start with that one. Golden Axe 1. As much fun I've had with that game, the controls are a bit wonky for it, but I'm gonna have to give it a B.
No, I can understand 100% it's a B title for the first game.
For the first game, yes.
Yeah, it's a solid middle of the road B. Just again, inoffensive fun. Right at the upper tier of beat 'em up filler. Yeah.
Yeah.
Next up is Golden Axe 2.
See, not as good.
It definitely was not as good.
Yeah, I was gonna put it at the high C tier, but that's it.
Golden Axe 3.
Golden Axe 3, I never got to finish that one, so no opinion on that.
But did you play it?
Just the first level, and that's it. Not enough to judge.
So this one I would actually give an A.
Really?
So
no, Golden Axe 3 was legit.
Like, I'm stuck between A or S because I will tell you this right now. Again, it's what they did with Final Fight. First game was it was setting up its president. The second one, they disappointed us. But then the third one was just like...
Really, go ahead and put it where you want on the list, because I'm the same boat with you of S or A.
I'm going to put there has to be a Golden Axe game in S.
There actually will be another one, because there's one I've seen there. and that's Golden Axe Revenge of Death Adder for the arcades.
Mhm.
Oh my god, that one is amazing. I'm putting that one on S. The best one for me that out of the ones I did play.
I will definitely also give this one an S. This was definitely a step up.
Yes.
This is a hard S for me. We're talking, for me, this is Castle Crashers Turtle in Time S. Just an absolute masterpiece of a game.
Yep.
All right, next up is, if I'm reading this correctly, Gourmet Warriors.
First I've heard of it.
Never heard of it.
It. Wooden axe. No wooden axe. Just golden. All right, this one I think just says grow.
Oh, it's called Growl. It was
Growl.
actually for arcade and Sega Genesis. I've played it. I've beat the game. And it gets a C. It's okay. Nothing special.
Yeah, I have no opinion on it.
Yep. Next up is Guardian of the Hood. Oh my god, please.
Never heard of it.
Nope.
Nope, as in never heard of it?
Never heard of it.
Nope. Yep. Nope. Alright, next up is the King of Dragons. This is an arcade game.
That game gets a solid B. They were trying, like, this one was the first one to have like a level up system, in a sense, because like you have different classes. It's like a prototype Dungeons and Dragons style game from Capcom, but good ideas, but it could be a lot better.
I personally enjoyed it because it had the D&D aesthetic when I was a kid. I didn't have much of that in my games, so I would give this an A, at least.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah, I'd go ahead and put her in B because I'm on the other side of the coin of, I think it was perfectly acceptable fare, but I just didn't have as much fun with it as getting in there, at least from the hype that you can see from the loading screens and all that, and all the basically I worked a retail ton, so all the end cap stuff, all the hey, come look at me, come play me stuff.
Yep.
It didn't quite live up to what I was hoping it would be when I saw it in action. Playing it just didn't do a lot for me.
Right.
But it wasn't actively bad.
Yeah.
Okay, our next one is Knights of the Round.
Well, that game, to me, is definitely better. It's way better than King of Dragons. That one is going to get either a low S or a high A. I'll probably lean towards giving it an A.
A-Lig?
Yeah, I was thinking A or B, but no, I could definitely see the argument for a solid A out of it.
Mm-hmm. I can definitely give it... I was going to give it a B, but your two A's outrank me on this one.
Yeah. Like, if you want to play this game with your friends online, Capcom Beatemup Bundle is the way to go.
Yeah.
All right.
Next up
is Knights of Valor 2.
I've heard of it, never played it.
Never touched it.
And the original Knights of Valor?
Same thing, never played
Never
it.
touched them.
So both of them can go there. Next up, we have Carnage and Maximum Carnage.
It's the same game, just one Super Nintendo and the other Sega Genesis. But to me, they're the same. The Super Nintendo version only edges it out because it looks better and music.
All right,
But
so
that said, even though it's probably like the best LJN game ever, the highest grade I'm gonna give it is a B. That's as far as it goes.
So Maximum,
Just because it's a great LGN game doesn't mean it's great in beat 'em up standards.
All right. A-Lig, your opinion?
I was going to give it a C, very much for the same mindset as before. Look, it might be the best LJN game, but that's not saying a lot.
Exactly.
It's okay. There are definitely other titles I'd like to be playing at any point in time. Like he said, the SNES one was the better quality of the two. But at the same time, that's between choosing to limp with your left leg or your right leg. Whichever one you prefer to limp with that one. C.
Yep.
I have no opinion, so your two C's, put it in C.
There will be a much better Spider-Man beat 'em up that will be brought up later on.
Yeah.
But right now, what's next?
Next up is Meta what? Metamorphic Tropic. What?
Put it in opinion. I have not played it.
Yeah, whatever you're about to read, I've never heard of it.
Yeah. I'll limp with my third leg. Oh god. Oh
no. Oh my god.
Mighty Final Fight.
I haven't played it, but I want to.
Yeah, I want to, but I've never touched it.
Mother Russia Bleed?
No Mother Russia Bleeds is absolutely an A. It is amazing.
It really is.
It really is. I love Mother Russia Bleeds. For me, what I consider an A or above to be, at least for me to start cracking into the A discussion, is if I were not doing this podcast right now and someone asked me to boot up a side-scroller beat-em-up game, I would definitely be booting up something like that. Something like a Mother Russia Bleeds, etc. It makes the list for me of what would I actually boot up in my free time if I weren't doing this right now.
That's fair. Okay.
Next one is Motorhead.
Wait.
This is the first I've heard of it, but I'm interested.
If it's based off the band, I would like to play it, but I have no opinion on it since I haven't played it.
Sadly, have no opinion. I've not touched this one. Also, I will be sending you guys this list, so that way for games you haven't touched, you actually have a look through on, like, I should really try that.
Hell yeah.
Alright,
Next up is Night Slashers.
I actually want to play that game. No opinion on it, because I haven't played it yet, but I will.
I will have to put it in no opinion myself.
Yeah, I have not a clue about it, but I went and looked up that Motorhead game. It was apparently an Amiga beat-em-up that you played as Motorhead's lead man, Lemmy Kilmister. I think that's how you pronounced it?
Yeah.
Kilmeister. Yeah, you played as Lemmy, fighting through multiple side-scrolling levels using both guitar and fists to punch your way to the top. Now that I know about it, I need to play it.
I will try. Me too. I do want to try it out at some point.
All right. Next up is Ninja Baseball Batman.
Have played this game, but the only way I was able to play this game was through emulation. But I have played enough of it to judge it, and it gets an A.
Yeah, to be fair, I'm going to go no opinion on it. I've played a little bit of it, and what I did, I enjoyed. But it was like the first 30 minutes kind of a snack of a game of, okay, well, that was fun, but I want to do something else.
Yeah, well.
So, not enough for me to, because I consider to have an opinion on a game to have like an hour or more time into it, and I just don't have that.
Yeah. And the game actually had a pretty limited release here, because in Japan, it actually bombed. So they figured that those released less, and it actually did worse here. It was never ported to console.
Okay. Ninja Gaiden.
Oh, the arcade game? I've only played like 5 minutes of it, and just like what I just said about Ninja Baseball Batman, it applies to this. Not enough. Like, I enjoyed what little I played, but it's not enough for me to really judge the game. So I can't really give it a grade.
Yeah, I've got very little opinion on it. If I had to put a grade on it at all, I'd probably put a C on there. It was enjoyable fluff, but not for what you would think Ninja Gaiden is. It wasn't exactly super memorable for me as a moment of, gee, I wish I was doing more of that.
I have no opinion on it, by the way, because I never got a chance to play that one.
Yeah, I've only played like at least 2 of the NES games and beaten both of them.
Yeah,
those I played, and I think those games are really good.
Oh, the NES ones are fantastic. The arcade one's okay. I mean, it's fun for a couple of hours of entertainment, but I enjoy the I enjoy the NES stuff way more.
Guys, we're at the last few rows now.
Yep. So I see Ninja Warriors, and I know it's a very popular game, but I have not played this game.
No, I've never touched it.
I want to. I've heard this game is great.
So, the Genesis Power Rangers.
D. D. Super Nintendo one's better.
Yeah, the Super NES one's superior in every way.
Okay, not judging it by the console because they don't have the Super Nintendo one here. How good was the Power Rangers game overall?
The movie, like, the Super Nintendo one is definitely like a million times better, but the Genesis one, it was mediocre at best.
Yeah. If it caught me on a good day, I would give it the bump to C. Today is not that day. It hasn't earned that. For me, it's a D.
I've only ever rented it from Blockbuster, and I was not impressed with it whatsoever.
I 100% agree with that because here's the thing. At the end of the day, I do prefer that SNES version. That's why I put it on S, because that's the one that defined beat-em-ups for me. It was one of the first beat-em-ups I actually played along with Final Fight.
Yes. Only the hardest of D's indeed. I will actually agree with that.
It is. It's quite literally, if you asked me to pick one game out of this list, let me correct that, 2 games out of this list, that were to define what a D game is, it's easily Bayou Billy and this version of Power Rangers. Just, they're not Fs, but boy howdy are they skirting by the skin of their teeth.
They could be so much better than what they are.
They're not an F, but they're begging for it.
Yeah.
All right, so my next one is Prisoners of War.
Heard of it? Never got a chance to play this one, so no opinion.
Never touched it.
I've never touched it too.
So
don't know where it's going.
No opinion.
Yep.
All right, so our next one is I can't pronounce this. What is this?
I'm trying to figure out what this is. I don't think I have played it, so I'm just gonna put no opinion.
I got nothing.
It's a Taito game, which I try to get into Taito games a little bit more because I like Taito. Taito's a good company. Yeah. Okay, they gave me Bub and Bob. I love Bub and Bob.
But guess who owns Taito now?
Huh?
Taito is owned now by Square Enix.
I know. I'm not getting that much Bub and Bob anymore, and that's the sad part for me.
And they weren't one of the companies that were sold recently, but no. Renegade's next. That's actually here's the thing about that one. That's the very first Kunio-kun game, but they localized it here as like a generic tough guy game here, Renegade. That said, I played this game, and it's hard, but I'm gonna have to give it a C.
Yeah, I've got no opinion on it. I've never touched it.
This is a solo grade for you, Shell.
Yep, C.
All right. River City Girls. I have the game. I have not played it yet because I'm saving it.
Go ahead. You first.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Okay. This game gets an A only for one reason. This game does not have online play in a time and era where it should have had online. But that said, so like I have to knock off a grade from it from S to A. But that said, this game is really, really good. It's awesome. Like being able to play River City Girls, you got the girls this time instead of the guys, but it's more or less the same universe, new story, a new chapter, and we're going to get I think we already got River City Girls 0 recently, and we're going to get River City Girls 2 this year. So I can't wait for that.
Yeah.
All right, your turn.
I see why you would mention the lack of multiplayer. My argument would be that it was a sequel to a cult classic game that outside of that cult, the gaming sphere had largely forgotten other than just a joke. So I can see why they didn't put the online multiplayer in there initially, just because they didn't know if it was going to make any money worth actually putting that into it. It was just one of those of, look, we may be trying to tap a market that just doesn't care anymore. But we'll try it, but it wasn't worth the time to try to implement online multiplayer until they knew that they had it hit. That being said, baby, that game is great. That game I would put down other games for. I'd just be like, you know what? I'm done playing this. I'm going to go play River City Girls instead because it's the better game.
Mm-hmm.
So S or A? Is the question.
I'm sticking with A.
I will, despite what I want to do, I will go ahead and say give it A, only because I don't know if I would pick it up over Castle Crashers and Guardian Heroes. I think it's just a tinge below that, but not by much.
Next up is River City Ransom, the original.
C.
C.
D, maybe. It's not good.
Play it. Yeah, I did not play the game all the way through, so I don't really have anything to really say, so no opinion.
Actually, to specify that this is a high A by smidge, I'm just going to put River City Girls like right there.
Yeah, that's where she belongs, right there.
All right. Next up is River City Ransom Underground. I have not touched this one.
No opinion.
I didn't know it was a thing until now.
Okay, so we know where this goes. We know where this goes. Scott Pilgrim. This is my S. This is an S. This is a beautiful game.
Do we really need to go any further on that one?
It's going to be on y'all. This is one of the few games that's just slipped through the cracks for me that I've never played.
All right.
S.
Well, S it is.
S, all the way.
All right.
It has so many references to all of our other really good video games. The only thing I hate is the trope of saving the girl at the end.
Yeah, I will have to agree with that.
Like,
I can give you my opinion of that in one word.
Like, despite that storyline, the gameplay is solid. The moves are solid. The whole entire thing about fighting someone's exes, however, again, it's saving the girl, but at the same time, the exes are kind of stupid. Like, what kind of person's like, hey, you gotta fight my 7 deadly exes? I'm like, don't you mean ex-boyfriends, exes?
Yeah.
There's a reason.
Yeah. I'm gonna give you a spoiler right now. The next 3 games are Sengoku. I want to play them, but I have not, so no opinion on all of them.
I've not touched the Sengoku games either.
What do we got there? Yeah, no, I got nothing.
So all 3 of them.
Yeah, we can just rocket those away.
Dungeons and Dragons.
Unless it hasn't popped up yet. Oh, let's see. Which one is this one? Because there's 2 Dungeons and Dragons arcade games.
It's just this one right now. And the only and this is the arcade game, and I'm sad. I thought I would be making a character sheet and making a character and hop right into the arcade. I was wrong, but I can't hate it because at the end of the day, I did enjoy it somewhat. It would be like a B or C for me.
I haven't played that one. I played the other one. Oh wait, hold up. Wait, no. Give me 1 second. I just gotta clarify something. Because there's 2 of them, and I want to make sure.
This is the arcade edition.
Yeah, there's 2 arcades. Oh no, this is the second one. Oh, yeah, okay. This one is actually incredible. That one actually gets an S. The other one is not as good. This one is great.
Wait, is this the?
There's 2.
Oh right, there was.
Because
this one was an A for me, because after I figured out that it wasn't that, I did enjoy it. So S, A League.
Yeah, I've got no opinion on it.
Yeah. Because the first one was called Tower of Doom. This one is Shadow of Mystara.
I can actually go for an S for that one.
Okay.
Good. Something that I'll have to check out.
Yeah.
Right. Next up is Sonic Blastmans 1 and 2.
Okay. Here's the funny thing. The arcade Sonic Blastman is actually a weird game where you have to punch them. You have to punch one of these big buttons, and then it determines your strength. Whereas on the Super Nintendo, it was a beat 'em up. I actually did play the Super Nintendo one because my uncle had it, and I think I made it to stage 5 or stage 6, but then I lost all because the continues are limited. But then I lost all those continues, so that was it. But it gets a C. It's okay. It's okay.
Both of them?
Just, I'm assuming Sonic Blastman 2 is the punching thing, so I have no opinion on that. But the other one is the beat 'em up one. That one, I'm going to give it a C.
Hey, Lick, have you played Sonic Blastman?
No.
So this one will go into no opinions. The first one will go to C as a solo guest from Shell. Next up is Spider-Man.
Yes! That game is a lot of fun. Yeah, it's an arcade beat 'em up that Sega did. 4 characters. You have Spider-Man, you have the Black Cat, you have Namor the Submariner, and you have Hawkeye from the Avengers in the game. And you fight the Kingpin, you fight Venom, Doctor Doom, so many other Spider-Man villains. So much fun. There's 4 stages, but they're all very long stages. And it's you get your money's worth out of all of them. I'm going to have to give this one either an A or an S. I'm probably leaning towards giving it an A. I'll give it an A.
A, because it doesn't beat my Gatekeeper. My Gatekeeper for the S tier is easily River City Girls. It doesn't beat that. Now, for what it does is fantastic. All 4 characters feel really fun to play as. They even managed to make Hawkeye really fun to play as, which is stunning because most games can't get Hawkeye right. They made him a lot of fun to play. The bosses were fun and engaging. I don't know, I just loved everything about it. I would definitely say a strong A.
Okay. Very strong A.
I have no opinion on it, so your A's go through.
Yep.
All right. Here we go. Splatterhouses 1 through 3.
The only one I've played is the original, but I played just about enough to grade it, and I'll give it an A. Never played the other 2.
I would go A on it. I mean, I can go down. Mine basically for the next 3 for these Splatterhouse games just kind of goes down the tiers. I think 1 was its best entry, and for me at least, each entry got a little weaker.
All right, so B for 2 and C for 3.
Yeah, that B was 2 was still fun, still very engaging. But by the time that 3 came around, it really felt like they just kind of wore out their welcome.
Mm-hmm. Next up is Star Wars Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith for the Game Boy Advance.
Never played it.
That's a beat 'em up. Never played it.
All right. Next up is Street of Fury.
Never played it.
Nope.
Streets of Rage. Oh my god, we got 4 of them, guys. And mind you, there's Streets of Rage 1 through 3 and Streets of Rage Remnant.
Oh, that's a remake. That's a fan-made remake.
Okay. So let's start with Streets of Rage 1.
Good start to the series. I would give it a B. Really good start.
Yeah, I was thinking B was right about where home was for it. It's a high B, low A for me, so I can see it going B. I can see the argument for that.
Streets of Rage 2.
S.
S.
Easily an S.
Easily.
No question.
And then 3.
D. D.
Yeah. Easily. I mean, coming off the heels of Streets of Rage 2, Streets of Rage 3 had everything in the palm of its hand and just wiped itself with it.
It was kind of like, yeah. Oh.
I never played the fan game, but I'm surprised Streets of Rage 4 is not on here because that would have been an easy S right there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, would have. But let's just put this where it belongs.
No.
Super Double Dragon.
I have not played this one. I think it's on the Switch Online, but I have not played it yet.
I actually have played this one. The controls are a lot smoother in this one, and this one I would actually give an A. They did a good job on the controls here. And it was a lot more smoother than the other Double Dragon games. It did its job.
I was going to say A or B, but no, definitely the controls would convince me that an A.
So
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Oh yeah, this is the original one. All right, so we already did Turtles in Time. So for this one right here, I am going to give this one an A. Good. It's a good game, but obviously Turtles in Time is better.
It's one of the rare times I'm on the other side of the fence. I'd give it a D. I just can't with that game. The movement feels real janky for me. They keep they threw me into like underwater levels that not even ignoring the difficulty of the underwater levels, because I have beaten the game. Even ignoring that, it never felt fun for me. It felt more like I was seeking to have fun than I was actually having fun.
Right.
This one was a C for me.
Okay, so
1A, a D, and a C. It gets stuck in C.
It gets stuck in C then, yeah. Okay, that's fair.
All right. Next up is The Punisher.
This game is actually really good. I'm going to have to give this one an A.
This one was a B for me. It was great. It was a high B for me.
Okay.
Alec?
I would give it an A. It doesn't crack the top for an S for me, but man, is it a good A.
The Simpsons.
S.
We don't need to fight this. We don't need to fight this.
Everyone knows why I just made it to S. You know it, I know it, they know it.
Okay, I don't know what this game is.
Let me see which one it is.
I'm just saying Fr.
The Takeover. Oh, I actually have that game, but I haven't played it yet.
Ooh.
Never heard of it.
It's basically like a beat 'em up that's supposed to pay homage to classic beat 'em ups from the late 80s, early 90s.
So what would you grade it, Shell?
Again, no opinion. Haven't actually played it yet. I only bought it.
All right.
It's on everything. It's on Steam, Switch, Xbox, and PlayStation.
TMNT.
Oh, the movie one. Oh, no. That one actually gets an F. That's bad. That one's bad.
Damn. There's no
The
hope.
definition of the word tragic should just be the Wikipedia of that game. Just.
Yes. And the next one is Dungeons and Dragons Tower of Doom, which
This is the bad one.
I'll say decent. I'll give it C at the highest I'll go. I'll give it a C. Just the other one's better.
Okay, so Al, to be fair, most people didn't play the Simpsons arcade game when they didn't get the chance to. You had to have been literally in the 80s to have actually even touched that game. And considering that I'm nowhere near the 80s, I'm like 3 years shy of it, 4 years shy of it, I didn't get a chance to touch it. But I did get a chance to play it later on down the line because the New Rock City arcade actually had the game, and I got to play a whole 4-player match of The Simpsons. So it was great.
There was like a Nathan's Famous near me, like in Yonkers, that used to have an arcade, and that's where I played a lot of it growing up.
Funny you said that.
I played her.
Funny you said that, Snezkov. That's actually one of the games I plan to play on my PlayStation 2. I have it for the PS2, and that's actually one of the recent games I will be playing soon for June. So,
Alec, what were you gonna say?
I would definitely say that it was, way up there. I existed throughout the whole of the 80s, so I was right at that target demographic for that game, and I don't have enough positive things to say about that game. We'd be here for another hour.
We would be, yeah.
All right, so our next one is Undercover Cops.
Never played it.
Never heard of it.
Vendetta.
Never played it.
No, same.
Okay. Violent Storm. Who's peeing
Never
on my
played it.
floor?
Never actually played it, by the way. And no, no, I
it's
did
not
not.
me.
It's not me. I did not pee on the floor.
Proto Manlin, you cannot be peeing on my floor, okay? This is mahogany.
Yes. Okay, so
Yeah, never touched her.
Warriors of Fate.
I actually did not play this one. It's in the Capcom Beat 'em Up bundle, but I haven't played it yet.
It's for me. It's a good B to C, leaning a little more towards C. Like it's a. If you're talking a C is 70 to 79%, it's a good 78%er.
Yeah, it gets the thing. This isn't Sparta. This is Burgundy. Oh my god. Keyblade. What's up? Way of the Passive Fist.
Never played it.
I don't even know of it. So yeah.
Is this just a game about avoiding the beat 'em up? I'm trying to be a pacifist. Excuse me, I'm trying not to fight. You see a guy just come in, he's like, come on, I want to beat you. I'm like, no, thank you. I don't want to fight. I don't want to fight. No.
Please. We
fight.
de-escalation the video game. Just we can talk about this way. We can just.
No, I just want to whine at them. It's like I don't want to fight. I don't want to fight. Just imagine a bully who's like, I'm gonna beat you up. I'm like, I don't want to fight.
But I just did my skincare routine. I don't want to bleed. I don't want you to scratch anything. Could we just tell you what? Can we fight tomorrow? I'm ready to fight then. Just...
Next game is Wolverblade.
Wait, what game? Wolverblade? Oh, I actually want to play that. Haven't played it yet.
Haven't touched it.
Wolverblade?
Yeah.
It's all right. I mean, it's not terrible. It is something that I would highly recommend that people check out. I'd give it a B. It makes the list of, guys, you should play this one. It's going to fly under the radar, but I think you might really have fun with it.
I mean, it'll definitely... Bobby! Thank you for the gift sub to Snezkov.
What's next?
Welcome to our podcast today, Bobby. Our next game is Zombie Revenge.
Never played it.
Nope,
never
played
it. I can't even read. Oh wait, Guardians. Just Guardians.
Never played that one.
I have no idea what it is.
I think this is a Japanese exclusive. I think some of these are Japanese exclusives.
Yeah.
Next up is Denji Makai.
Never played it.
Nope. No clue.
Again, Owl's just rolling in her chair like, pronounce the Japanese correctly.
All right. And
Mutation Attack?
Never played it.
I've never heard of that one either.
Robo Army by SNK.
I've heard of it, but I've never played it.
I've never touched it.
And now the 6-player X-Men.
S.
Not only S, but I would argue the strongest of the S's. And that is a large say, and it is for me, like, I picked Guardian Heroes because I firmly believe it's one of the best beat-em-ups of all time. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to make sure that it got the recognition it deserved. X-Men is better.
Yes.
So I'll just put X-Men on top of everything in S. How does that sound?
Yeah, that's where it belongs.
Now, I'm a hardcore Ninja Turtles fan. Even I'll have to admit, X-Men is definitely a better game. Now, there is a big omission for me. There's a beat 'em up that is not on here that I'm surprised it's not on here, and that is the Captain America and the Avengers game. I'm shocked it's not on here.
Yeah, I have 3 that I'm. Let me correct that. I have 1 that I'm surprised is not on here. 1 I expected to be on here, and 1 I just wish had been on here.
Okay.
What's the one that you expected?
I expected to see Bad Dudes versus Dragon Ninja. That is a really, really fun game. It was an arcade game before it came to the home game market. And mind you, this is like, we're talking ZX Spectrum style days, so really, really, really old computer game.
Yeah.
But it was a lot of fun. The one that I'm surprised I don't see is Altered Beast.
Oh, Altered Beast.
Okay, so there's a reason why that one's not on, because just like with, let's say, Super Ghosts and Goblins and Castlevania, they don't consider it in the beat 'em up because of the limited scrolling situation, and that is why. Although Altered Beast is supposed to have limited scrolling, which is even more confusing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I am shocked.
I was surprised on that. And then the one that I wish was on, I knew it wouldn't be, but I wanted to give special mention to it because I knew it wouldn't be on the list, is a game that you can pick up. I don't know if it's any other platform but Steam, but a game called Lost Castle. It's an action arcade 2D 2.5D beat 'em up thing, but it also has a lot of roguelike elements and randomized dungeons, things like that. But at its heart, it's definitely a beat 'em up. And I can see why it never made this list. It's a very niche game. But it's one that I'm like, if I don't talk about this during this exact style of moment, I will feel bad that I didn't show Lost Castle a little bit of love.
Yeah, that's fair. All right, guys, we've tiered up our list. We've got basically our opinions. Some of them are wronger than others. Some of them are righter than others. I'm just kidding. But yes, we have our opinions, and as you can see, we have not played a lot of these beat 'em ups. So now I gotta send you guys these lists, because you know what? This is the inspiration behind us doing this Retrogade. And anytime I do the tier list, it's not that I'm expecting you to be a master at beat 'em ups, or that I'm expecting you to have played every single one that you can name it front and back. It's that we find the ones that we also missed.
Yeah.
And then we can go into those and actually grade them later, which I have a lot of lists to look through now, from DreamWorks movies to Rareware games to GameCube games. Like, we got a lot to go through.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I'm gonna have to work on that now. Like, I gotta start figuring everything out.
I'm really gonna have to take a look at that Superman game just because I'm curious on what the hell they did.
Yeah, I really got to do that. Hopefully, I'll be able to get through that soon. Like, there's so many games I got to do.
Yeah.
Oh. Like, I literally just went out and picked up
he'll drive off of
Scott Pilgrim. I picked up just because of this.
Did he just fall off?
Oh my god.
I was...
Shad, thank you so much for the raid. You came at the end of the Retrogade. We have just gone through all of these side-scroller beat-em-ups. Shad, welcome on in. Thank you for the raid and trusting your lovely community with me. Guys, let's stay on for a little bit longer. Just go over our final thought on... Let's go over our final thoughts when it comes to beat-em-ups.
Yep.
Shall we? Like, shall we go over our final thoughts today?
Yeah.
All right.
Well,
so who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
Go for it.
Honestly, for me, beat 'em ups are always something I enjoy. Like, just being able to go ahead, not like, and also Hito knows Chad Sneskov.
Yep.
But yeah, beat 'em ups are something that I always enjoy playing, because you have so many different characters teaming up to fight against like enemies of different kinds, whether if they were just punks, like street punks, mob gangsters, or they could be aliens. They could very well be robots. They could be practically just about like anything, and you could be able to just go through so many stages, picking up items, weapons, throwing at any of the enemies, and having a blast, especially playing with another person or multiple people. And also, one thing we did not talk about that I'm actually bringing up now is that, you know, a beat 'em up is a really good beat 'em up when most of them share one similar level type. The fact that a lot of them seem to have elevator levels. They're very known for having elevator levels.
Yeah.
The infamous elevator levels.
and also stages where there's like pits where like you could just knock any of the enemies and they fall to their death. Those are always fun. Depending on the beat 'em up, they're fun. For me, this is like a childhood thing all the way up to like now. And I will say, put a beat 'em. If you could show me a beat 'em up right in my face, you bet I'm gonna play it.
Yeah.
And whether or not it's good, it's completely up to how the game is. But I'm always willing to give it a try.
All right.
And that's my piece on that.
Hey, Lake?
I would, for the beat 'em up genre as a whole, I consider it comfort food. Now, because of that, because it's comfort food for me, I hold strong opinions about it, because what I consider to be comfort food, I hold in high regard. So it's why I'm so passionate about Batman Returns being just the deepest F possible, while also holding up, you know, X-Men game as the holiest of holies, is because I love the side scroller beat 'em up genre just that much. I think it's a great genre. I would argue it's in the top 3 of video game genres, just period. And I think that there's, regardless of how you feel about the genre as a whole, I guarantee you that if you give the S tier games an hour of your time, you will find one of them within that hour of playthrough you give to each of them. You will find one that you're just like, I can't stop playing this. I can't put it down.
Oh yeah.
Oh. I thought Alec was still going. I didn't want to like be rude.
No, you're good.
You're good. Your turn.
Before I go that, I like this question that was given to us by Proto Mandolin. I do want to see like an answer from this. So this is a really good question. What's a beat 'em up you've always wanted to see?
That's easy. What if there would have been a beat 'em up that was based on? All right, so ABC used to have this block on Friday nights called TGIF. What if they would have had a beat 'em up that was a crossover between a lot of the sitcoms? Like, for example, they had Full House, Perfect Strangers, Family Matters, Boy Meets World, Sabrina the Teenage Witch. Like, those shows all crossing over, teaming up to face against, like, a wide world of different enemies. They go through different worlds, like a multiverse back then. Like, what if that would have happened? Whoever would have had the most brilliant and out-of-this-world idea could have actually have taken that and somehow made it work. If they would have done a TGIF beat 'em up, that would have been easily one of the best things ever.
That actually sounds very sick.
Yeah, I'd play it. I'd give it an hour of my time.
Like having Steve Urkel team up with Corey Matthews, Topanga, or hell, you could team up with Danny Tanner, rest in peace, Bob Saget. So many different options right there. You have options. Like, it would be a lot of fun. Like, you can't even have it as 4 players. You have to find a way to make it 8 players if you want to make it that chaotic. You have to make it crazy and over the top to make it work.
Yeah.
Right,
I would definitely go in the route of, I'd love to see a Street Fighter beat 'em up. I would love to go side to side doing the beat 'em up things up against M. Bison's baddies and all that, and of course you'd run into Vega and all of them as you went through the game. But I'd love to be able to play one with either Ryu or Ken or Dalsim. I would love to play Zangief and just roll around and on larger enemies, just pile drive them. I think you can pull a lot of really fun Street Fighter characters out of that universe and turn it into a beat 'em up very quickly.
Yeah.
I would be at the front of the line paying money for that. Of, you know what? This is all I ever want Street Fighter to be. Put it in my veins.
Agreed.
For me, I did want to get a better Digimon beat 'em up going for it, and we get like at least the 4 things. some of the 4 characters that we go into it. For example, they did a hack and slash Digimon World 4, but I would have liked the side-scrolling beat 'em up of it. Like, let's say I wanted more of the frontier characters to be the beat 'em up instead, because there has been literal like anime annotations, Digimon Frontier, of them literally taking down many rookie, champion, and ultimate Digimon, literally doing that, and it did wonders, honestly. Like, I would like to see that beat 'em up happen. Happen with Digimon World, which is like with Digimon, but it has to focus on the frontier characters, the ones that can do spirit evolution, the one that they actually turned into the Digimon and actually had the humanoid version of it. That would be amazing. And then they can actually alter between the 2 forms, between doing their human evolutions to their beast spirit evolutions. Like, the beast spirits could also be like an alt going hack and slash crazy in this beat 'em up. Like, it would be amazing. I would love to see that.
Oh, I would absolutely love that too.
Like, I'm a big Digimon fan. Like, most people don't know this. Sometimes I choose Digimon over Pokemon, even though I'm a big Pokemon fanatic. But like, I do like Digimon more because I like the mechanics of Digimon more than Pokemon, but I still love Pokemon. And the reason why I like the mechanics over Digimon more is because they go back to their original smaller states, which is important because it shows aptitude, which is important for a stat. But to add my final thought to this along with that as well, my final thought is beat 'em ups are one of those genres that have harbored many subgenres and have also mixed very well when it comes to their genre. For example, they can do a beat 'em up that's a visual novel. They can do a beat 'em up that's a shooter, which is a run and gun. They can do roguelikes with a beat 'em up element. They even have a beat 'em up. Funny enough, they have a beat 'em up with strategical roleplay. ActRaiser.
Oh man, ActRaiser.
ActRaiser. Like
so
that.
Good.
Like, that is a whole thing, which is great. And I would literally love that. I would absolutely love to do that. Which is great because honestly, ActRaiser was good and it had its own genre. It had strategical roleplay and simulation mixed with a beat 'em up.
Yeah.
So when you think about it, side scrollers are really one of the better genres that have meshed well with many different forms of genres in the gaming industry, and that's why they go into more fuzzier types of subgenres as well. And I think we can all appreciate that when it comes down to games, learning how to essentially aesthetically mesh well with other genres. I think combinations work well, and some combinations don't, but when it comes to a beat 'em up, when they do the correct way, they do it more correctly when it comes to meshing well. Even if the new Battletoads wasn't that great, it still managed to mesh well a whole bunch of genres. And I think, funny enough, I respect the remake for Battletoads more because it makes you realize that the beat 'em up genre actually does go into these many different orifices of genres. And I think Battletoads actually made a joke out of that when you realize it later on down the line.
Oh, yeah.
Now that when you think about it, when you look at a beat 'em up as a whole title of the situation and you see the joke happening behind it, that's why I think Battletoads made their remake that way specifically.
Yeah, I can see that.
Mm-hmm.
But we are actually about to end right now. We talked about Splatterhouse already, Rika. Sadly was it.
Oh yeah,
you will have to watch the VOD, but you will definitely get to see the Splatterhouse stuff. This will eventually be on YouTube as well. We will have season 2 slowly rolling on YouTube as well, but you can always check out the VOD here and see everything.
Yep. Okay. Yeah.
As always,
again,
we gotta send the love
thank you for
over.
having me on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, appreciate it. Very, very nice to be on here and hanging out with y'all.
Definitely. Yep. Yes, I know. Subscribe and do the thing. If you guys are not familiar with my YouTube channel, hit that YouTube link, hit subscribe if you want to. I do all kinds of other original stuff here. You get episodes of the Retrogade on there as well. You'll also see season 1 episodes that were from last year. And we're doing an Amori thing. We're doing Amori gameplay. So all fun and good stuff. Also, you'll be getting a few new videos as well, probably sometime next week. So, yeah. And as always, this is Hito Retro Gaming and the Cave Club crew sending y'all the 8-bit love. Have a good night, everyone. Bye.
Bye.